So my first topic is why a series. As you know, I fell into writing mine by accident, but I accidentally did something very smart. Series have become immensely popular, and even writers who used to write standalones have slipped sideways in many cases into writing series. Readers adore series. We all know the pleasure of that feeling of familiarity. It's like Cheers, the place where everyone knows your name, except it's kind of the flip of it. When you're the reader going into a familiar series, it's the place where you know everyone else's name. You get that thrill of being the person in the know. You get to return to a familiar enclosed world, and escape from your everyday life into a known quantity. And on the known quantity front, there have been two major things that have affected the book world in the past 3 or 4 years. One is the economy. People are strapped for money. They have less to spend on books. When they do shell out their hard-earned money on books, they want to know what they're getting, and a series provides that reassurance. Of course, you can't guarantee a good read that way, but you have some idea of what you're getting as a reader. And there's also the expectation of a certain kind of quality. If you're going back to a series, it's because you already know what you got in that first book. Publishers like series. They're very attractive for publishers because you have a built-in audience for subsequent books. When they invest in you, they're investing not just in that first book, but they're investing in future books as well. And it gives them something, when they market you, they know that they're putting in a long-term investment in building up both the author and the series name. Authors become more memorable when linked to series or types of books, and it provides enhanced branding opportunities. Again, this is one of these things I stumbled into backwards. We just started calling my series the Pink Carnation series because, well, the first book was called The Secret History of the Pink Carnation and involved a spy named the Pink Carnation, but that very quickly became a brand name that my publisher used and leveraged to make the series more visible. So that's what publishers like about series. And of course, well, as authors, we like anything that makes readers and publishers happy. But from the craft point of view, there are additional benefits for the author to writing a series. Part of it is, if you're lazy like me, when you're putting in the investment in research, because let's face it, most books involve some sort of research, that research then carries over to all of your books. I've written 9 books now. I'm working on the 10th, set in Napoleonic Europe, and it was really possible to front load that research. Before I wrote that first book, I read up on 18th and early 19th century Europe like crazy, and that research filters into all the subsequent books. If you're like me and you kind of need research projects to keep you entertained, you can come up with topics to research in future books, but they're usually smaller. You've put in that hard work at the beginning. And I don't think this just pertains to historical fiction. It's also true if you're writing a police procedural and you have to learn all the ins and outs of modern policing techniques. That's get carried through from book to book, and you find as you write each subsequent book, there's less you have to learn. On top of that, you also get to really invest in building a world. This isn't just a one-book world. I'd say it's the equivalent of furnishing a house you intend to live in for the long haul, rather than being a short-term rental. You get to really, you get to decorate your world. And this as an author is really a treat, especially if you enjoy that world building aspect. Finally, one of the great perks from the author point of view of writing a series is the long-term character growth, that you get to spend more time with these characters than you would in a standalone. Depending on the type of series you're writing, you often stick with the same characters through multiple books. You can complicate their emotional and public life in ways you can't in a single standalone, unless it's Gone with the Wind length. And you also get to play with challenges like turning side characters into main characters. You get to play with having different characters look at the same world in different ways. And these, from a craft point of view, are all a wonderful challenge as an author. So a lot of this depends on the type of series you're writing. And because everything sounds more scientific when categorized, I tried to make a typology of different types of series. This is by no means exhaustive, but I think you'll find if you think about the series you've read and liked, that they fall into one or more of these categories, many of which are fairly self-explanatory. First off, you've got the family-linked series.